tournament. That's Russian Cyber Games. Last year, as people might know, it was called Corrupted Cup. Kind of a little brand change this year into Russian Cyber Games, a little bit more professional sounding, I guess. And last year I won the first qualifier. I was able to go to Russia to play in it. Obviously, I was very excited as RCG rolled around again this year. I trained really hard for it. Played it yesterday. Spoiler alert, I did not make it into the top 2. But this will be an analysis of my practice. First, I want to talk about my approach to it, to the tournament. And then I'll go over the ladder game, or not the ladder games, but rather the actual tournament games. And then I'll talk about the format of the tournament, which is what I kind of want to close out with there. Okay, so yeah, let's start my preparation. Okay, so obviously I'm North American, right? So it's Canada and America. Those are the 2 countries in the North American Qualifier. And so what I decided to do was look at the player pool that qualified and kind of decide based off that. Now, Canada and North America does have some strong Terran players, but they don't really play tournaments. People like Nyokin and Gypsy. I don't think that they're really that interested in going to Russia or anything. So without them playing, I was the only Terran to qualify for the final tournament. And that made it so that there was basically a few strong Protosses, notably Dragon and Models, and then a bunch of strong Zergs. So as soon as the ladder ended, they made the challenge page, on which it showed me playing against Dragon first, who is a very strong Canadian Protoss, definitely one of the top Protosses in the North American scene. So basically the people that had a shot going in my opinion, were Hawk, who also made it last year, TY2, Jaeyoon, Models, Dragon, right? Those are kind of like the big names that I felt like I'd be probably going up against, that probably 2 people out of that group would make it through. I might be forgetting a name or something. Forgive me if I have. Actually, I'll just pull up the thing. Yeah, those were the names that I was kind of looking at as potential winners for the tournament. Okay, so the page had showing me against Dragon first. This kind of made me think that I should practice my TVP more heavily, especially considering my TVZ as of late has been very, very, very strong. I think that overall my Terran vs. Zerg for the past several months has been solid overall. I don't drop many games to lower players, and I kind of have a reasonable range of how good of players I can beat. So yeah, I've felt very confident Terran vs. Zerg just overall, including I've played a lot of ladder games against Striker, who was in the tournament, and I don't know our exact record, but I think during like the BSL ladder and other ladder sessions, like during that time frame, I had a very good winning record against him, maybe like a 6-1 or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I did very well against him. The last couple ladder games I had against Jaeyoon, I won as well. So I wasn't too worried about Terran vs. Zerg going into the tournament, whereas my Terran vs. Protoss, as people know, I complain about it a lot. I find it very difficult. So I wanted to raise my level in Terran vs. Protoss. On ladder, I hit Dragon sometimes, and we have pretty good games overall. It's a little bit back and forth. I think he has a winning record against me on ladder, but I'm not 100% sure. I only know that I played Models once. I've seen him say that he's beat me several times on ladder, but the one time that I knew that I was playing him, he beat me. So yeah, I wanted to really work on my Terran vs. Protoss, because I felt like this was the most likely place for me to screw up the tournament, was to drop Terran vs. Protoss games. Okay, so what did I do to prepare for that? People saw on stream quite a bit. First off, big thanks to the people that I speak to a lot about StarCraft. Nyokin, TT1, and Scan are the 3 people that I kind of really talk to in StarCraft and kind of theorize with, and they help me out a lot. It's really helpful to be able to talk to, people who know what they're talking about and kind of bounce ideas back and forth. So specifically for this tournament, I talked to TT1 endlessly, bothered him so much. Now, TT1 and I kind of like, we talked about hotkeys a lot and looked through a bunch of my replays. We're kind of going over strategy things, but it really felt like what was holding me back in Terran vs Protoss. Now, I generally like more aggressive builds, but while I'm microing more aggressive TVP builds, I oftentimes don't macro my SCVs out well. So I had a lot of games where I was very low on SCVs. So I decided, you know what, it's time to bite the bullet and to go ahead and make a hotkey switch, right? So I changed the other Friday when I said my stream title was like, oh, this is the most important practice day. It really was. That's when I changed my hotkeys for good over to 3S, 4S, 3 for Command Center, 4 for Command Center, to make sure I could just consistently do that. Definitely took a hit in MMR, took a hit in quality of play overall for many things that I'm good at, like harassment and things like that. But I practiced really hard and got very good at 3S, 4S. Almost too good at producing SCVs, which we'll see in the replays. Now, something appeared during this where my TVZ took a bit of a hit while I was doing this, because I talked a lot with TT1 about the possibilities of different hotkey sets for different matchups, but that becomes very difficult for your brain to wrap itself around, because I basically had a set of hotkeys for all matchups where it's like these are my macro keys, this is where my command centers go, which were on F keys, positional hotkeys, units go here, comstats go here, all that stuff. Now my TVZ was very solid in the early game, especially like the first 5 minutes 30 seconds. I would basically nail it. Like, I was almost never losing to ling rushes. I was being very exacting with when I would get my bunker and things like that. Very precise stuff. Just kind of nailing that early game. So moving the hotkeys, my barracks had to move. So I still haven't quite recovered my early game TVZ, and it takes more attention to do this new hotkey setup for TVZ, because it's like in TVP and TVT, you can kind of just have the right amount of units and like a bunker and you hold everything, whereas TVZ you have to be very careful what you're looking for. Anyways, I guess that's kind of the lead up to it, right? I practiced really heavily for TVP because I thought that this would be where I fell some. Now, leading up to the tournament, I was under the impression that it would be best of 3s. I found out the day before that it would be best of 2. And it's Swiss rounds. I knew it was Swiss rounds from the beginning, but yeah, it turned out to be best of 2, which is kind of weird. We'll talk about the format at the end. Also, the bracket actually changed at the very end. I did not have any idea of this. These are things I should have looked into, so mistakes were made. And I did not play Dragon in the first round. So all of that preparation didn't go to waste. My TVP has improved dramatically. I feel a lot more comfortable in it. I brought the floor of my TVP way up, so I'm like losing a lot less to random stuff. I'm macroing a lot better throughout the game. But yeah, that's a little bit that was on me. Also, I'm just throughout this, as we look at replays, there's no excuses here. I'm just kind of talking about exactly what was going through my head and what was happening in certain games and stuff. I don't believe that you can have excuses for a tournament. As much as I whine and bitch and moan on the ladder, tournaments are like, you go to the tournament, you decide to play or not, and then you do your best and your opponent does his best, and it's actually just about winning in the tournament. That's it. For me, ladder is practice, and it's stupid if you're just sitting there all-inning all day with a stupid all-in no one's ever seen, and that's why you're stuck at fucking low A rank. It's like, wow, you're dumb. You're wasting your time. Tournament, though, do anything you want. There can't be complaints. There literally can't. It's a tournament. You're trying to win. It's only about winning those games. So, yeah, that's kind of my thought process going into the tournament. So let's go ahead and we'll get into... All right, round 1. And let's jump over. All right, so this is game 1. This is my first round draw was against Striker, who on the ladder I've done very well against, but I think he's actually like a good up-and-coming player. And honestly, not a player that I really wanted to play in this tournament. Striker is greedy overall. He's a bit too greedy, which is why I beat him on the ladder quite a bit. But greed is very scary, I think, because if you screw anything up, you're really, really screwed. Okay, so let's start it up. And someone in the chat is asking about why I changed my CCs to 3 and 4 instead of just camera hotkeys. Camera hotkeys require screen switches to utilize. So like every 13 seconds, or more likely every 12.5 seconds, you have to switch your screen and nail 2 SCV rounds, and then you're going to want to send the SCVs and everything. And that's what I was doing before. And it got me to a certain level. But when you're microing on the map or doing something else, you can just press 3S, 4S. I don't have to be, I can be microing this SCV and be like 3S, 4S, and at least the SCVs are made. SCVs mining on time and SCVs being made, it's like the F2 one. I guess more of your SCVs that are made will be mining closer to when they're made, but it's actually better to just have consistent SCV production. Okay, so here I am. Circuit Breakers was the first map, and then 2 vetoes and Loser Chooses second map. That's how this went. Okay, so let's take a look here at how this game went. So I'm just kind of scouting. My plan was every game to go 2 barracks, no matter what they were doing. Just 2 barracks, Marine Medic, get into SK Terran eventually. Yeah, that was the plan. Not much more of a plan than that. That strategy won me the RCG qualifier last year, so it's like, well, it ain't broken. Okay, so you see I kind of have the bunker up and everything. All right, so he takes a very quick 3rd hatch here. We'll talk about that in a minute, because this was already the beginning of my downfall in this game. So my build's going fine. I think I hit a big supply block somewhere in here. A couple of the TVZs I got supply blocked on. And I think that has to do with the 3S, 4S a little bit as well. It's a little bit easier, I think, to make depots on time when you're doing the F2, F3 macro, because your screen is switching back and you need your screen switch back to make depots. So maybe I was spending too much time out on the map. I'm not exactly sure. That's something I'm going to have to look into. Okay, so now Circuit Breakers in particular, I have a little bit of a hard time getting over the bridges. Because the bridges are a murdering ground where the mutas will just absolutely destroy your bio. So I have a little bit of a hard time. As soon as he hits, I try to get over, but he moved back immediately. So very good play by Striker right there. Here, we'll zoom out a little bit so you can see it better. You see, it's a little bit hard. Reinforcing. My factory was on time, so that's really good. Looks like I started at 6:30 or so. That's totally fine. That was one thing I wanted to make sure I was doing. I'm getting my turrets up as well, just some turrets to stop counterattacks from happening as frequently and everything. Pretty good move over the bridge right there. Okay, at this point, by the way, I have scanned here. So I'm like, okay, he's taking his third. It's a little bit late. He probably has more units. I also scanned here. I'm also occasionally scanning here to see the tech, because you need to know when they're switching to Lurker. So I didn't know about this base right here. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about a little bit. Striker is a little bit of a greedy Zerg. He should not be able to be on 4 base at the moment. And I'm actually playing as if this is the 3rd base. So that's a little bit tough. And it's going to become very tough because of that. So much of Terran vs. Zerg is really... Now, see, this is really my moment, because I just flanked the mutas. He doesn't have that many. They don't have that much health. But so much of TVZ is really about keeping the Zerg off of 4 gases. Terran can deal with everything Zerg does on 3 gases, if you play it right. But on 4 gases, that's where they really gain control. And their production becomes something that's very hard to deal with. They just get carapace upgrades, get into defilers. They can go ultras and defilers, things like that. Once they have 4 gases actually up and running. So here I'm just trying to play against the Mutiling a little bit. And I get down here. Alright, so right there I knew I lost the game. Because when I scanned this and saw it, I was like, yeah, this is fine. Like, even if I get down here and he has lurkers on the ramp, you know, this is third gas. I just have to keep him off of fourth gas. So I didn't know about this base, and this made it incredibly difficult from here. Because this is already very, very hard to break. Maybe I should have just stimmed and gone in against it, to be honest. I didn't know exactly where his mutas were, I don't think, or maybe they're about to come up. Can't quite remember. But yeah, this becomes a very difficult situation. His hive is actually very late here too. Damn. This is the first time I'm watching the replays, by the way. So I'm kind of telling you what I thought of in-game. So his mutas are kind of stalling me out. He's trying to get this sunken up. He morphs the egg in a very smart position to kind of block AI a little bit. I think I just barely don't have enough to break this. I think I was right not to attack. Because if you attack in and lose all this stuff, I mean, the game is more over already. Alright, so you can see his drone count is getting dangerously high. It's not looking super good. I'm keeping up with my upgrades reasonably well. Oh yes, and this was kind of an interesting decision by me, I thought. I saw how late his hive was, and so I was like, you know what? Let's get siege mode. Let's see if I can just go kill him. Because I knew that my army was stronger because he was playing greedily, and I had 3 tanks. My tank production was pretty solid, and my vessel was a little bit late here as well, right? Now, I'm not that good actually with tank pushes in TVZ. I've just recently, in the last 6 months, started incorporating tanks a little bit into my play because the meta is shifting a bit where lurkers are around the map a bit more, and they're just trying to stop bio with lurkers. So this was the attempt by me to pull this off. Again, my vessels are a little bit late. I should have a vessel with this. By the time you have 2 tanks out, really, you should have a vessel. So that was a pretty bad mistake there. You can see he's made fucking bajillion lurkers. This is like, that is so much. Look at that. He's got 12 lurkers here. 2 siege tanks are not going to push that correctly. Okay, so I had the idea because I saw how many lurkers were here. It's like, you will never push over this bridge with 2 siege tanks against this many lurkers. He'll be maxed out on anything he wants by the time you get over this bridge against that many lurkers. So I left a small bioforce there and decided to go and try to push the other base. I think that was a fine choice. Pop the mutas. Here I just barely cannot get in there. And then he gets the Defiler out, and bam. So this is getting worse and worse for me at this point. Trying to break, can't really do it. Trying to get some expansions going and whatnot. I sent some units down. I was having a hard time. And yeah, you can see, look at the worker count here, right? 55 to 56. 4 base Zerg. This game is over already, like I said. It's like basically impossible to come back from. And from here, you know, he's just kind of like turtling. Just sitting on Defiler Lurker. Because I put the money into siege tanks and not vessels as quickly, I kind of missed my tech route a little bit there. I should have had quicker vessels. And I definitely should have, or, you know, hopefully in the future we'll figure out that this base was taken. I can't really push through these areas. He's got enough lurkers that I literally can't irradiate everything. And then he can just kind of get into ultras, right? Because he's on the 4 gases. He can have Dark Swarm, Lurker, Plague, and ultras. And all that together, it's like, well, if they have all that, you better be like a 5 base maxed out Terran with 10 vessels. Like, that's how you're gonna deal with something like that. And that's just not the case in this game. So I'm irradiating as much as I can. I'm starting to chew through the lurkers. But he's starting to plague, he's starting to get ultras out. My upgrades are very good here, but when they have Ultra Defiler, I think a good way to look at it, if you're going SK Terran and they have both Ultras and Defiler, if you do not have map control, the game has to end in their favor. Because you need to basically stop the defilers way before they get to your base. As soon as there's a defiler at your base with Ultralisk Army, you're done. Ultras also roam really, really well and pick off smaller groups, so you really need to have map control. Okay, so he goes ahead and wins this game, obviously. So kind of a painful loss, a little bit frustrating. There's a lot of maps on circuit breakers. This is not one that I scanned. This is not one that I scouted. The thing is, I've actually seen this a little bit more recently with some of these 2 hatchery muta into take another natural. I've hit it on the ladder 3 or 4 times now, so it's definitely becoming a bit of a trend, which will help me in the future at identifying it, because if it's not just this one-off LZ Gamer expand where you're like, why did you do that? If people are actually doing it and it has some strategic merit, it's something that you're going to be able to scout a little bit better. But yeah, I wasn't quite ready for that, and he had the 4 bases, so that is that. And yeah, okay, so that was game number 1. I wasn't panicking or anything at this point. That's a tough loss, and it's Swiss. Again, I'll talk about the best of 2 in Swiss format at the end. But a painful loss. Painful loss. So I chose Neo-Sylphid. I don't think it's the best map for TVZ. I think that it's a good map, like, for everyone, basically. But what I liked about this map against him is that you can't really sneak a base generally, right? What are you going to sneak? The 3rd base for Zerg. In this game, I spawn here and he spawns here. And he ends up taking this as his 3rd. That's all completely normal. But it's very hard to, like, hide another base. It's really not hard for Terran to scout everything. It's just kind of a slightly smaller map. And the thing is, I feel confident as long as I can keep a Zerg off of 4 gases. Let's take a look at this game. So we can fast forward quite a bit. Nothing really interesting happens in the early game. Right, I scout him, checking out, are there lings being made, what's your layer timing, all that stuff. I actually, my SCV as it ran, I went up here to check, no 3rd yet, but it was very early that I sent it up there. Okay, the mutas are popping, so we will go ahead and slow this down a little bit. So I'm just keeping my forward group here. Buys you some time. Don't have to make your turrets quite as quickly if you have that forward group. I believe that I just scanned... I think I just scanned his 3rd, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so here his mutas actually are diving on my SCVs quite a bit. So I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go with the Bioforce. He actually got quite a few SCVs there. But he lost a muta, and his mutas are out of position now. And I see that he has this, so I just stem forward into it, because I know his mutas are a bit behind. So get 1 muta. 2. 3. 2 drones. 4. Okay, so I killed 4 mutas and 2 drones there. And I kept him out of my base. So even though he got a decent little chunk of SCVs with that initial harassment, I would say that that went better for me. Even though I lost a Bioforce and everything. I believe I hit a supply block during that time, but I can't recall 100%. Doesn't matter that much anyways. Also, during that, I sent an SCV out, just to make sure no sneak expansions can occur. Oh yeah, and also, something I've learned playing TVZs is that it's very important once you lose a bio group doing something like that, that you make extra turrets. Like, if you kill a hatchery, just spend all of your money on turrets for the next 2 minutes, because they have to do damage to you, basically. In this case, I'm just adding a few extras. Comes in pretty rapidly after my SCVs. So I'm kind of pushing out again. I don't have any real plans with this Bioforce. I'm just trying to keep him out of my natural now that I have a big enough force. When it was smaller, you know, I didn't want to move it out because then he might just kill it and then go back and harass more. But this will help my SCVs to maintain, stay alive. Yeah, so he overcommitted with his mutas once again. Nothing too much to say here. Forces mutas back. He has very few mutas left. Kind of sucks to lose the medics. I don't think that move was as good as the previous move that I did that was like that. But I think it was okay. It's certainly not like a game-losing moment or anything like that. My vessel might be just slightly late here this game as well. Alright, let's speed this up a bit. Just want a bit more flow. I didn't know where his lurkers were. Again, my vessel's a little bit late. Having a hard time with that. Keeping up on my upgrades though, which I'm pretty happy about. Yeah, I felt like that was a very good move by me to push the lurkers back. Losing that vessel was so rough. Oh, by the way, I had the thought, oh, last time he took a natural, let me send the SCV over here to check for the natural, and it can spot anything going in. You'll notice that a drone snuck by when I was microing elsewhere. So at this point, I lost the vessel, and I'm very unhappy about that, but my upgrades are on time. He's on 3 gases. I feel pretty good. Okay, I actually want to see what happened here. I think I had an hockey error. Yeah, there it is. I set those to another hotkey, but they were in the wrong position, so they didn't join up my army. They just walked to their deaths. Ouch. So anyways, taking another base, getting another thing up, whatever. The thing is, again, if he's on 3 gas, I feel completely fine playing this type of position because you can lean on them with irradiates, and it comes down a lot to like micro positioning, things like that, because they can't really afford to get into any scary amount of ultras or anything. So now the plagues start. Oh yeah, by the way, my SCV just walked in and got killed by lurkers, and that's when I knew I lost this game because he's sitting on a 4th gas that I didn't know about. So it's kind of like a recurring theme that we're seeing here in this first series, right? Is that he's taking 4th bases that I don't realize. I feel especially bad about this one. I should have put the SCV on patrol because I had enough of a presence on the map that when he first sent the lurker and drone up here, 100% I can deny it. Unfortunately, I didn't do that. You know, I was busy doing other things, and it didn't really occur to me to do that. So that's really, really painful because again, on the 3 bases, I'm totally fine. I'm expanding, I'm doing a fine job, I'm keeping my minerals down, I'm getting my tech up, I have really good upgrades going. Like right now, I'm 2-1 already, right? It's not bad. I guess I didn't start my 3-2 all that quickly, but still. This is a painful way to go 0-2, in my opinion. I fucked this up pretty badly. So at this point, I knew I was in really bad trouble because I can't really break this area very easily. And he's just kind of sitting there plaguing. He's sitting behind just enough lurkers that you can't radiate everything and plaguing the army while getting up to ultras. Which is like, this is just how you kill Terran when you have more bases. Lose my vessels. Shit falls apart. I'm dead. Oh yeah, I tried a double drop. I'm like, I gotta do something. Didn't matter, it was too late. Alright, so that was my loss against Striker. So that was a very painful 0-2 right there. I'm quite unhappy with my my loss. He played well though. But yeah, the greenness got me. Okay. So that was the first round. So I was like, well, that's too bad. And then I got to Dragon, second round. I forget who he lost to in the first round, but he lost as well. And this is actually the person that I prepared for. I prepared really, really hard. Again, with TT1 mostly. and I had very improved macro and a new build, basically a new opener to fight against Arbiter Protosses. And Dragon, when I play him, normally goes Arbiter. So I was feeling pretty good. I felt like this should be a victory for me. You're very clever guy in the chat. Goodbye forever. Okay. Go ahead and speed this up a little bit. Now, I kind of assumed going in that Dragon would likely go Arbiter play. When I've played him in the past and watched his games in the past, that's generally what he does. He's just kind of a macro Protoss, like a pretty standard macro Protoss overall. So anyways, I saw the Zealot pop out, so I went ahead, I played very safe. The last time I played Dragon in a tournament, he just ran shit by my bunkers every time. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not going to lose to that. So I went for the third depot before my command center, just to play it a little bit extra safe, and made 4 Marines for my bunker. Okay, so he runs this by and actually doesn't see my command center started, so I was like, he'll probably play much more defensively here because of that, right? That's like a trick that happens, like if you're going to 2-fact or something, and everyone knows that I like my 2-facts, so I thought, hey, maybe he'll play very defensively. So my SCV goes by, sees that he already has his Nexus. I'm a little bit behind. My command center's a little bit slow since I went 3rd depot, and got my siege tank out very quickly. But that's all right, because he's taking a defensive stance. I can just make some vultures and lay some mines down. Let's take a look at what he's doing. Just 3 gate obs, so that's a very safe play. And you can see him moving some Dragoons to the main. So this shows that he doesn't really know what I'm doing here. So yeah, everything's pretty fine, I would say. Play my comm stats, I scan, see it's 3 gate obs. I'm like, all right, no problem. Couple more scans. Oh yeah, I picked off that probe that was coming in. That probe was coming down to his 3rd. This is something I love to do here. Here, we'll slow it down. And then I send in more, pick it off again. So that's a couple probes that have been picked off. And another one! Alright, so I felt pretty good at this point. I've delayed his 3rd base by a long time and killed a few probes with that. I still have mines out. I have mines at other locations to watch if he expands again. And I've started my 3rd command center before his 3rd nexus, right? So everything's looking pretty good, looking pretty strong. In fact, my SCV count is above his probe count, so that shows that my production is on key here. Like, this is what I was preparing for the tournament. It was like exactly this, like to do this against Dragon. So I think he is a strong player. So my SCV production is doing quite well. You know, I have more than 40 SCVs at 8 minutes. And remember, I went over everything. The absolute maximum SCVs that you can have at 8 minutes, like if you literally miss nothing and get your command center earlier than I got, it would be 49 with comm stats. So really not bad. I'm happy with the SCV production. Because again, that was kind of my aim going into this tournament, was to nail that. Alright, so I scan, and I see the 2nd Stargate. You never go 2 Stargate Arbiter this early, so I knew it would be carriers. Thing is, Dragon has tried to trick me before, so I will scan again to confirm. And here I had to make a decision, because I wasn't really well practiced against the carrier build. So carriers became really popular, like very quick carriers, after Stork's match against Light in ASL. So that was, what, it was over a month ago, I think. And I was playing a lot against quick carrier builds there, but I was using a very different opener. And with that opener, I was scanning at an appropriate time to check for carriers and doing things like 5 or 6 factory pushes on 2 bases before they get 4 carriers. So that was how I was playing against carriers. More recently, people haven't been going carriers, I think because Terrans have reacted well against that. So with this particular build, with this particular strategy, I have a much quicker third base, but it's going to a gasless expansion. So at that point, you have to decide a few things. Okay, and this is my point of view on what you have to decide in this type of situation, because you've taken your third mineral base. You have to cut something. So one choice would be to take a fourth base. If you take the fourth base, that's going to give you more gas income. The gas income is going to kick in a little bit late. They're going to have minimum 6 carriers by the time you can move out. Minimum. Okay. Maybe even more. I'm not sure at the exact number that would move out, but that feels a little bit scary. But the thing is, you're sitting on 2 gas, and you haven't added your factories yet, right? So it's like, okay, what do we want to do here? Are we going to go for 2-1? 2-1 is generally considered the anti-carrier play, but there's other ways you can play against carriers. People think that you must go for 2-1 to fight carriers. I don't necessarily agree with that. In this game, I decided to forego 2-1 for a while to hit a stronger push, because I knew his economy was not gigantic. His third base was later than my third base. He started with 3-gate observer dragoons and went into carriers, right? So I'm like, you know what? I can get a bigger army than him. So that was kind of the choice that I made at this point. It's like, I'll just hit my factories, I'll keep up my siege tank production, and then really go into Goliaths. And we'll just overwhelm with +1. That was the idea. Okay, so I have my vultures running around a little bit more, continually checking for additional bases and whatnot. So up to this point, I'm pretty happy how I'm playing against him. Just moving my vultures around. Just want to have kind of eyes on what he's up to. Slow down that fourth as much as I can. The vultures are pretty expendable. Alright, so here I've gone up to 8 packs. This is basically what I was looking to do. I think I might add a 9th, I can't remember. And see, he's got a couple carriers. Okay? I actually have a bigger worker count than him right now. We're about 12 minutes. I'm at 66 workers, which is actually very nice saturation for these 3 bases. And I'm just throwing up some extra turrets, because this is the most likely place for him to harass. So I want to have some extra turrets so I don't always have to have Goliaths there. Okay, so again, I haven't practiced this exact scenario too much lately. But okay, this was my thought. This is something I've talked again with TT1 about a decent amount, and some realizations I've had about playing TVP. It's so much about killing the Protoss with giant macro. Like, that's how you have to kill a Protoss. You kill a Terran positionally. In TVT, okay, I'm talking about Terran matchups. TVT, you win through positional advantage. You have more of the map, you deny certain areas, you make it impossible for Terran to move, you suffocate them. TVZ, it's about keeping pressure on. You keep that pressure on so they can't drone, so that they can't get the extra gases. You keep the pressure on with the radiate, eliminating their gas units, right? And through micro. You have to micro really well and make your stuff count, and eventually you can kind of make the Zerg expend himself, and that's how you win in that matchup. TVP, you can harass as much as you want and do whatever you want to a Protoss, but at the end of the day, you have to have a fuck ton of units, and you need to kill them with that. Like, you need to actually kill a Protoss player. Alright. So, what I do here, right, and by the way, I'm expanding over here. I'll start mass expanding in a moment here, because what I'm trying to do here is get, like, insane macro going and kill him. Just be like, nope, you're fighting me until the game's over. That's kind of my goal here. So what I do is I move out here and I set up for a moment so I can re-rally my factories as well. Okay? So here we go. I'm pushing out, and I'm going to re-rally all these factories outside the bridges, because otherwise reinforcements are a little bit too slow. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So right now, he's got a little bit more supply than me, and I have 10 more probes, right? So he's actually got a decent amount more army supply than me, but my army is better than his army. Okay, his army is going to try to find an inconsistency in my army. Like, for instance, if his ground units can pick off lots of Goliaths, then his carriers can wreck. If his carriers can pick off lots of tanks, then his ground units can wreck. So it's up to me to try to keep the right balance of units here. Oh, and by the way, something I focused on heavily this game, and this was just kind of off the cuff, I scanned a lot for observers. I was really trying to pick off observers because I knew he had to be low on gas. Well, that's what I thought. We see here he has 711 gas. That's cool. Protoss doesn't need gas. Good to know. But because he has only 2 gases and he's trying to go, you know, carrier, goon, all that, I was like, well, maybe I can... I know he's going to be kind of zealot heavy because of all the minerals, or at least that's the way that my impression of it. So yeah, I try to focus on picking off a lot of those. Okay, so I think I probably re-rallied right about now or sometime ago. Anyway, so here we go, the first battle. You see, he kills a decent amount of tanks here. I get a carrier, good carrier pick right there. The thing is, we pretty much equalized armies there. I think that was fine for me. I don't have that many tanks right now. Yeah, he was very good to refill with Dragoons heavily. He refilled with Zealots, I still wreck it pretty one-sidedly. Oh, I just barely don't get that carrier. I think I didn't realize how low that one was during that. Yeah, see, this is one of those moments where I've scanned to kill a lot of observers, so some of my mines are doing a good job. And I've scanned to kill enough observers, I even feel fine to transfer some SCVs over to that base. Also expanding up here. And now something that scan really kind of worked into my head was to make sure in these types of scenarios to be running vultures around. So here I am trying to buy time to get my tank count back up a little bit, right? I finally have my 3rd gas. I've gone up to 2 add-ons to make sure I can refill my tank count. And then I'm just running my vultures in. My upgrades are very, very slow here, as you can see. Because I did want to fight earlier. Do I have +2 now? No, I only have +1. That's funny. I started plating beef. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I started plating just to get it. And then I got my science facility. See, still trying to get those. Alright, so I didn't catch that one, unfortunately. And here we go, we're gonna have another fight. Slow down a little bit. I actually have a good mass of tanks again. I have a lot of Goliaths. Oh yeah, by the way, that SCV production stuff I was worked on it a little bit too well. 84 SCVs right now. That's too many. I mean, my saturation is obviously awesome. I'm making a lot of money, but that eats into your actual army supply, right? Like, if you actually have the right amount, let's call 70 about correct. So that's, what, 7 more army units that I could have in my army. Like 7 more Goliaths or 7 more siege tanks or whatever. So, a little bit overboard. But I do want to mention on this, because this is going to happen several times here. This is so much better than what I was doing before. So I'm very happy with how my practice went. I actually feel like I've improved a lot as a player in the last couple weeks. Because when you don't produce enough SCVs, that's not something that fixes easily. That's hard to fix. You have to become better and better and better to nail your worker production, okay? Whereas if you make too many, that's much easier to fix. Like, looking at these replays, I'm just going to be like, okay, there's a certain time I really do need to stop. I need to look at my mineral lines, right? just stopping SCV production is doable. Increasing SCV production is the tough thing. So, yeah, just want to throw that out there, that while this is a thing that occurred a lot during RCG, having too many SCVs, such an easier problem. Okay, so here's where I start to fail, I think. No, wait, not yet. I think this move is right. Okay, so he's actually starting to expand all over. He's taking this base, he's taking this one. I actually didn't realize he took this one for a while. I see that he's taking this one. I see that he's trying to take this one. Okay? So, like, this is an important moment in the game. But he's actually running his units around. I believe yeah, because see his observers up here. He wants to kill up here. Because up here is going to win me the game if he doesn't kill it. So I'm actually moving my army over and intercepting a bit, which is really good. So I intercept. The carriers, we got 8 carriers, they decide to go around. So I decide to go up and actually fight the army. He has Psystorm mixed in here now too. So I don't know that I made the right choices right here. I think I did need to move my army to this side. Maybe my Goliaths should have all gone and intercepted this. Also, I have so much money because I have way too many SCVs. I should have built like 30 turrets. I am not even kidding on the number. Like, I should have spent all of my money on turrets here. Because if I can keep this base up, I think that this is a game that is hard to lose. If Terran gets another main on circuit breakers, they don't even really need it most of the time, but that can be a gigantic advantage for Terran. Okay, so a little bit of mismanagement from me. I didn't realize my Goliaths were up here. They tried to attack over the bridge when I was moving them. So a little bit of a pathing error on me. And then he comes over. This is a bit of a pain. I try to get my tanks out of here, because when his carriers come back, it's like, uh-oh. I don't quite get this Nexus, but I killed this one. I killed a bunch of his army as well. You can see he's actually really low on money. He doesn't have that many workers. Just sending a couple of units around. I'm really controlling the map reasonably well. Psystorm, of course, starts whittling me a bit. And he's being very annoying with the carriers here, as you can see. Trying to hold on to that command. Yeah, a bit annoying there. Okay, so here's like this general idea of what I'm doing. I think that this is where I've messed this game up quite a bit. I'm attacking this area too much. The rally distance is really far, and the only thing he has over here really is economy. I think what I should have done here is I think I should have been grouping here like I was before. It's closer to this base, so maybe I could have saved this base. Because realistically, I don't actually need to have up here right now. It's nice to have it, but I think if I just have this base and this base operational, I think that's probably enough. So I think probably what I should have done here is masked up and gone south. Taken this area, right? Taken this area. Because if I can stop the flow of units here, it's not like he has recall. If I can stop units from flowing out to defend and force his carriers to be here to stop me from, like, killing everything he has, then I can send smaller groups over to do things like eliminate these nexuses. Now, that can be tricky if they build a bunch of gates in a main base or something, but in this scenario, I think that would have helped a lot. I could have killed this base. This one's got almost nothing left, but obviously you kill it, break through here. So I think that this is where I start to really mess up this game. Yeah, see the carriers come in. This is the type of scenario I was talking about before. My Goliaths couldn't defend my tanks. It was like kind of a hard to defend area. He's coming up with Psystorms and everything. The Goliaths are very susceptible to that. So the siege tanks get cleared by the carriers. The Goliaths get cleared by ground units. Here I'm just trying to defend this base. Unfortunately, I only survived with a couple tanks to start to build those mass turrets. Yeah, so he's wrecking a lot. So here I made a judgment error as well. When his units came up to this base, I actually sent my army. I think that was quite a big mistake as well. Because the thing is, like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna kill this? Is he gonna come here? Fine. This doesn't fucking matter at all. The thing where it could get scary is carriers going to my main. I've had that happen before, and that can be scary. But I actually should not have been scared of that at all. If I had taken this army immediately when he moved everything up here, because this army here, right, was here, and he's up here, like he was literally here with everything. If I take this army as he's doing that and immediately move here, or immediately move here, I think both those moves are way better. So I think that was a big mistake. See, he's got literally nothing guarding this. He's got 3 photon cannons, 1 in each mineral line. Or, okay, well, 2 in this one. But moving this army instead of into this position where, obviously, with 8 carriers, you will never save that command center, ever, under any circumstance. So that was a mistake. I played that very timidly. And so he's just kind of got the run of the map now. He's just kind of flying around killing what he wants. Okay, so he just dives in on the couple siege tanks I did get up here. Good Psy Storm. And all he needs to do is kill the tanks, and then the ground units can kill all my Goliaths. So that was a good break by him. And now I'm finally moving this down, but look how late it is, right? It's very, very late. Now he's moving units back to defend. Picking off siege tanks. I'm not really microing all that well, to be honest. He's bringing up his reinforcement units. Alright, so this game, obviously I don't have very much left here. Not an 81 supply. It's not going to do it, is it? Okay, so after this game, I would say I was not unhappy with this game from my point of view. I did a lot of the things that I planned to do. Like, I macroed much better than normal. I did end up making a lot of positional errors moving my army around. I think that when people have a lot of capital ships, you kind of have to treat it like chess. You have to, like, sacrifice areas and move into other areas. So I think I really misplayed some of my army movement, and I overmade SCVs a little bit. I valued areas incorrectly and stuff, but the thing is, I fixed a lot of the things. Like, there was a big improvement on a lot of the things that I was looking to improve. And I felt like I did that. And I felt like, yeah, he won this game. I wasn't as prepared for the carrier strategy as Arbiter play. But I was pretty happy with how I played it. I was like, okay, you know. My TVP has certainly improved, is what it felt like, which that was a big goal of mine. So, that was it for this game. Oh, what? Oh, okay, I guess it ended. Okay. So then, map 2. I think he vetoed Hitchhiker and... Can't remember. Anyways, I went into Fighting Spirit. My plan here, okay, so when I go into a tournament, a lot of the time I have an overall plan for my series. I feel like I'm pretty good at planning best of 3s overall. I feel like I'm a much better tournament player than I am a ladder player. And I think I show that a lot when I'm going over ASL VODs or ASL qualifier runs and stuff. I kind of show like, oh, this is my plan for map 1, this is my plan for map 2, etc. It's a little bit easier in a tournament like that where the maps are set out. But looking at the map pool, my plan was this, right? Play a big macro game on circuit breakers, okay? Bunker expand, macro play, try to win with that. Game 2, make it look the same, but make it be a 2-base all-in. That was the plan, okay? So I chose Fighting Spirit. This is a map that you see lots of macro games on. So yeah, that was my plan against Dragon. Was, yeah, macro game 1, make it look the same game 2, but actually have it be a very sharp attack. Standard opener. There's my bunker. There's my command center. So you can see he's once again going for a very defensive play. Robo 3 gate. So he'd be going observer, no doubt. Again, I'm known somewhat for being a little bit aggressive in the matchup, which is why I needed to fill in some of these macro things. But a build like this against what I'm doing, my build is actually going to be better against this, because this is not, it's not a slow macro play and it's not a quick attack. This is going to be stronger against, like, if I went 2 factory after command center, which is a build that I really like and I do a lot, then something like this, 3 gate obs, should be able to crush that and allow him to easily get into whatever tech and expansions he wants. So instead, I'm actually going to be going for a 5 factory. Very, very quick push. I'll be moving out before 9 minutes with 11 to 12 siege tanks, hopefully, and 5 factory vulture rallied. So the observer came in, and he saw the extra factories. He in fact, I think, did he send in 2 observers? Jump back a little bit. No, it was 1. Someone sent in 2 against me in the tournament. Oh, he has 1 in there right there. Okay, so here we go. Okay, I guess I did not macro perfectly. I have 10 siege tanks there. And vultures rallying. Still, that's very good, right? I'm moving out. This is a very, very quick move out. I moved out like 8:35, something like that. This is a little thing. Now, there's a tutorial that Firebat Hero put out on this particular build that Jinjin translates. So thanks Jinjin, Firebat Hero, for that. I've added little bits and pieces to it. I've practiced it a reasonable amount. Sometimes I can move out with 12 siege tanks if the situation is correct, which is nice. And also something that I planned for this tournament, just in case that things start to go a little bit haywire, is to sneak an SCV out and build a random turret somewhere. Because that can be an area to regroup if shit goes really sideways, like with DTs. Because, like, what if you make, like, 10 DTs against this, right? And you space them 1 scan apart. that could be, it sounds stupid, but who knows? Anyways, that's just a little something I added. Now, he saw, of course, that, I'm going for the 5 factory play, because he got the observer in. So you see he's delayed that base. He's adding more gates. He's getting up into his arbiter tech and stuff. I think that this is a reasonable way to play. But he makes a little bit of a mistake here, I think. I don't think you should engage this. So he engages, and he actually wipes a lot of it. Like, a lot. I think I was probably a little bit slow on my siege there. Maybe I should have sent an extra SCV forward. Because going down to 3 tanks is a little bit scary. When that happens, though, I do start adding a couple more tanks. You can't push it with 3 tanks. But, you know, he lost a lot of units there also. Random turret strikes. And you can see it's just kind of like a slow and methodical push. And I think he probably hasn't played against this too much. It's not really that popular build, I don't think. I mean, I can't speak for other Terran players, but I don't think, like, the build has its uses. It's like I think it's a reasonable strategy to mix in a tournament sometimes. Again, I plan to use this sometimes in this tournament. I ended up using it more than once. Maybe I used it twice, maybe I used it 3 times. I can't recall. We'll see. But anyways, I think the way that you actually play against this as Protoss is you have to run around the army. I don't think you should engage it when it first comes out. There's, like, no normal build will be able to stop the amount of units coming out right away. I think you need to slow him, make him turn around, split his units poorly, things like that, catch reinforcements. See, he's starting to run around now. But let's not forget, he lost a huge chunk of army before. This isn't that scary. Here, I set up because a counterattack is definitely a possibility. So I'm like, okay, let's set up for a counterattack. Continue to push over here. Because his dragoons were way down there, and there's a lot of mines and turrets in between, I decided I could push it this time. So push I do, throwing down lots of turrets. I think I sent a vulture up here to check if he had the expansion yet, and I saw that there were units here. So I'm putting a few extra mines here, building a depot and stuff. I'm just making it clogged so that this set of units can't come down to help too easily. And here I flank. I flanked the dragoons that were out there. So I waited until I had 4 tanks from my rallies, from my reinforcements, and sent them all out together. And when they connected, I connected with the rest of my vultures in my push. And the only thing that I was scared of here is if he hit immediately on these 5 tanks with all these units, like the second my vultures came over, he could have broken this area, probably. And then that could have made it a little bit hard, but I was going to kill these goons no matter what. So he came a little bit late, and my vultures got back pretty well. Alright, so there you go. 1-1 against Dragon. I liked the choice to go macro into all-in second game. I thought that was clever. Alright, third round, I got someone named Just. Hadn't played this guy before. I don't think. I don't know. You never know who you're actually against on the ladder, right? He was a Protoss player. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do what I prepared for Dragon. He'll probably be an Arbiter guy. That's generally how it goes. Most people are Arbiter guys. Alright, so I get my tank out. I just send it forward to make sure the vulture can get out. I don't have any big aspirations with this, but he's got nothing out here, so I check things, right? I have enough Marines that the tank is going to get away pretty much no matter what, unless he's doing something doing one of those leaf trap things I talk about, something totally dumb, like if he has 4 Dragoons over here, okay, I'll lose the tank. You want to play dumb? Okay, yeah, you got it. But, yeah, so I come down, I'm just poking, seeing, okay, do you have a base? Do you have a pylon I can kill? No. Okay, whatever. Go home. Place some mines. So yeah, he's going very fast Arbiter this game. I can't click on it, but you can see. Oh wow, that's a quick forge as well. That's kind of surprising. I don't know why he has that forge right now. So I start my third command very, very quickly, quicker than him. Look at that difference. I'm halfway done when the Nexus starts. It's nice. So I'm just kind of scanning around. And I scan that he has a 2-base Arbiter tech, basically. It's like 2 to 3 base Arbiter. It's a pretty standard build overall. Like the Forge, I don't think is completely normal. But anyways, it's a quick Arbiter build. So, I feel like I can just take a 4th base here. So you can just hear me scanning a lot. I'm just kind of scouting out to see what he's got, like, where is it, you know, I want to see gateway counts and things like this. My SCV count's pretty good so far. Okay, so my SCV count getting really high at this point. And I'm not adding factories quickly enough, but I'm macroing my SCV as well. That's good. I just should have added factories more quickly here. It's very important. And definitely a mistake to not get them up. The thing is, it's 2-base Arbiter, so I kind of am focusing a little bit on making sure I'm Arbiter-proof, right? So a lot of my attention is going into making turrets and laying mines down. Because recall is actually the scariest thing to me here. Right? Turrets, mines, everywhere. Now, if I had just added factories a little bit more quickly and then gone the turrets, I think that that's more optimal. Because the earliest recall would have been about 10 seconds before right now. Like, the very quickest recalls you see are just after 12 minutes, generally. So, I think that was a misordering of using my attention and my funds. Okay. So, this part surprises the hell out of me. Watch this. Okay. I have a lot of units. I've macroed pretty well. I have too many SCVs again. You can see 83. This is a recurring theme for RCG, is I am making a bit too many workers. And again, my factories, I could have been up to 9 factories earlier. Okay, so he's actually going full ham here, which I found pretty surprising. I'm never super duper set up to stop things like this, and I should be. Actually, when I wasn't practicing focusing on macro as much, I would defend heavier against this. I would realize that I don't really have that many units, and I was used to being way outmassed, so I would do things like build a whole depot wall here. I'm doing that less now because I'm like, well, I have so many units, you wouldn't attack here. Come on, this is a good defensive position for Terran. This is a very hard area to break. But he goes ahead, and he breaks it, and he kills the command center. And another stasis goes down on my tanks. And he goes after this command center. And he kills it. So now I've lost 2 command centers in most of my army. And he has a 5k bank. So that's not good. This is not an optimal situation for me. Now, luckily I had built my 5th command because I was getting ready to move out. Right, as soon as I maxed out, I was going to move out and take this location. So I float this over. What I should have done is started a command center here and flown it to there. But I forgot I had even started this because I was scrambling trying to defend that push. Okay, so at this point, my thought process is I have to keep him really busy while I rebuild. So the vultures go out. I got a lot of probes there. That's pretty good. Not unhappy with that. So this time I'm much more ready for an incoming push. Did a nice EMP there, that was important. And I just kind of, hold on, fast forward this a little bit. Damn, he's got over 20 gates, it's crazy. So starting that 5th command again. Yeah. Nothing too much right now. just being a bit of a gateway man, trying to break me over and over. And then finally, you know, you hold enough attacks, you can move out. I've actually got higher supply now, bigger army. He's used up a lot of his arbs, which is always a nice thing when a 2-base arbiter player doesn't keep his arbs alive. Tried to EMP there. not quite. Yeah, there's not like so much to it anymore. It's kind of like I've taken map control. He's running around. He's been trying to take that base all day, doing a little bit of counterattacks and stuff. But here's kind of what I was talking about that maybe I should have done against dragons, something more like this, where you get in on top of their gateways and make it hard for them to move units around, right? It's a little bit of a contain going on. You're killing a lot of units as they come out. It's very annoying for the Protoss player. My rallies were actually kind of screwed up here. Everything's getting stuck on the bridges. You can see I'm just kind of taking bases. Yeah. Okay. So again, a little high on the SCV count. Misordering of factory adds versus turrets. I need to be a little bit more on top of that. But again, if they fly through and recall, if I don't nail the turrets right after the factories, then I'll kick myself there as well. Yeah, definitely improve there. Okay, so he chose Neo-Sylphid. It's map 2. I actually can't even remember what this game was. Yeah, I actually literally just can't even remember this game. I have no memory of this right now. Huh. Okay, I think I'm starting to get a memory now. Okay, like I said, you know, I was planning on doing, like, 2-base plays, like, against dragons specifically. I wanted to do a 2-base all-in on game 2. I don't think I'd do that here. I think this is actually a macro game. It's Neo-Sylphid. It's a pretty comfortable map overall. I think it's hard to do a 2-base play on this map as well. There's, like, a lot of runaround room. So I see the forward gate. I know I need my 3rd depot. Micro heavily here. Here, we'll look at the micro level. Oops. Yeah, I'm pulling my SCVs. I'm really trying not to lose SCVs here. It's the most important thing. Added my 3rd depot. You can see my SCV count staying pretty good. He's committing rather heavily here. Okay, so I kill both of them. All right, now this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. So, according to pro gamer Terrans, you can't go one gate, like forward gate, zealot aggression, and then make a nexus off one gateway. So I'm trying to figure out, because that is something that they've said. You can't do it because the Terran will just kill you. So I've been trying to figure out, and I've won a lot of games and lost a lot of games trying to figure out exactly how you're supposed to punish this. And so this game I do a middle of the road thing. Ooh, I missed Micro there a little bit. I could have blocked him a bit better with the Vulture. We do some good damage though. Get it back and repair, get that pretty low. So this one's more middle of the road. I've had games where I go like 2 tanks and non-stop marine production and mines, and then rally mines and go try to bust them. And most of those games I've won, but your command center comes so late that if anything goes wrong, you lose. So here I'm like, okay, let me get the command center. I'll skimp a little bit more and we'll go. Now the problem becomes here, I get supply blocked. So the supply block is, do I get supply blocked? Yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah. So I supply blocked for a very long time. I should have a third vulture popping out right about now. Whereas the depot is not even done. We got a good 6 seconds left on that depot or so. So that was definitely a bit of an error. Now I know one of his dragoons is damaged, so that's gonna play into how I micro this. So this is me trying to punish him for being greedy. So I target that goon, he moves it back really quickly. That was nice. So I have to lay some mines. He actually micros these 2 goons up, and I missed target right there. I targeted this one with the tank instead of this one. So the tank died twice as quickly. I could have actually killed both of these goons if I had microed this situation correctly. Unfortunately, I was doing 2 things. I was microing my vultures here to lay mines, and then I went back to the tanks, and I didn't know which goon was the damaged one. Okay, let's slow this down a little bit. Over here, that dies, and somehow they killed both of those before they hit. So when all is said and done, he's got 1,000,000 dragoons left over. Oh, nice SCV. Nothing really went right. There's some miss micro there for me, miss targeting. And let's take a look at the state of this game. My command center is about to finish, and we're about even on workers, so it's not as bad as it could be. I don't really have anything going on, though. It's not that he has a ton going on, because he's just going 3-gate. That's part of how he held it. He doesn't have, like, Reaver or anything like that. And obviously I saw the observatory, so I know pretty much what's going on here. But I can't be 100% sure it's not Reaver 2. Just to throw that out there. Okay. Speed this up a little bit. So I'm getting siege here because I know I lost all my units, and you got to be afraid of an observer goon attack coming in. Very important. Here I'm freestyling quite a bit. I wasn't sure exactly what I should do, and again, I wasn't sure if there was going to be Reaver or anything like that, so I'm like, you know what? Armory, Academy, eBay, let's just cover it all. Laying some mines out to check for when he's taking additional bases. These 2 areas are very easy to lay the mine. In these positions, it's a little bit harder to get into there, because you might run into dragoons. Alright, so here comes his big attack. 8 goons. Gotta land that Rax. It's important to make sure that you have a Marine in there. I actually left this one home because it was so damaged, it didn't feel like it would help in the fight. If it randomly takes an early shot, it doesn't do anything. And a lot of the time, they are going to counterattack you after an attack like that. A lot of the time. And if you don't have anything in the bunker, that messes things up. So yeah, there he is. So that slows him down a little bit. I have my SCVs in position. Laying a couple mines. Comes up trying to target. Push everything back with the SCVs. Hold them back. You can kind of see. I'm pretty happy with that SCV micro overall. I made a good wall. Got a lot of goons for free. Okay. So here I'm just kind of going into third command. I've killed enough goons that I feel pretty good about just expanding, scanning around. Alright, so here I'm just kind of trying to keep my vultures active, just get anything done I can with them. Target a few units down, whatever. They already laid their mines, they're not as useful now. You have to be careful not to overuse vultures like that, but, you know, gives you some map presence, shows you what's going on a little bit. Oh yeah, I laid these mines here. This is just an idea I had on the spot. When you're setting up this base later, the time that you normally take this base on Sylphid, you're so busy, you don't really have time to do anything to defend it other than build a couple turrets randomly, and sometimes I send a science vessel up there too. So I decided, you know what? I have these vultures I want to harass with or whatever. I have some extra mines. Let me just lay a few mines there for now. I liked it. I think that was a decent use of like kind of downtime at this point in the game. You got to sometimes think of things like that. Like, what am I going to be doing when I'm approaching this area? It's something I started doing on circuit breakers, for instance. When you're going to take 12 or 6, a lot of the time you haven't scouted that. So sometimes now when I'm sending out a vulture, I shift click it through so it can see the gas on that location, so that when I decide to take that base, I can build the command center on location with 2 clicks, right? Grab the SCV, go over, build the command center, rather than sending an SCV over there to pick up the fog of war and then build the command center. That's like, you know how much time you lose in between there? Something might happen and then you're a minute later in your command center. So I think that finding things like this to do, like in parts of the game that are less hectic, can be really good. Okay, so a little bit of gateway manning coming in once again. Luckily, I have a very good setup here. The double depots, the turrets, siege tanks in the line. Okay, so held that well. Get my extra command center on the way. It's funny, actually. These 2 goons really screwed me up, because my tanks all, when I attacked, move them down, they all auto-attacked the dragoons that don't matter. You just need to get them down here. Again, looking at my SCV count, it's going well, so I'm happy about that. And I've got scouting, by the way, of these 3 bases with that vulture, a mine here, and a mine here. So I know exactly how much he has. I was pretty happy with that. Alright. By the way, I've set up like massive anti-arbiter play. It's not 100% foolproof, but you know, trying my best to stop recalls from coming in. A lot of lifted buildings, searching for it. Send that one too. Okay, so here, this is the portion of the game where I've absorbed a bunch of attacks, and I know that he has to slow down a little bit, probably, because there's no way that on those 4 bases he can have a bank. So like, if he just keeps attacking, he's just gonna have lower and lower supply. So I take this opportunity to get my expansions down, right? I land my 4th base, I start setting up turrets and minefields, spread my tanks out and whatnot. Just to, because once you take this quadrant of the map in Neo-Sylphid, the game becomes a lot easier for Terran, right? Because you have the 5 bases, even though this is kind of a half base. This will run out by the time basically you have this fully saturated. But then it makes it a lot easier, right? Because you can do things like take this base, or just push through the map, cut areas up. It just kind of depends on where Protoss is expanding to. So he's like poking, but yeah, I don't think he actually commits at all. Yeah, this was not a very good attack. As you can see, he's struggling on remaxing at that point. better SCV to count this game at least. 64 is pretty good. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is like something I'm trying to mix in a little bit more too, right? I laid a bunch of the mines and saw that his army went over here. So then it's like, you know what? I got like 2 groups of vultures here. Let's go. They can do things. They've got sick upgrades. 3-2. At 3-2, vultures wreck cannons. Now, during this, he did get a recall off, but let's not forget I already laid some mines there. I had enough turrets that the arbiter died. I had a vessel waiting for it, but I just didn't catch it because I was busy doing other things. So we're kind of trading base for base here. Oh yeah, and I saw how many units were up here. It can be a little bit tricky clearing these high ground areas, so sometimes I just don't. I think it's okay to just set it up so that these units can't leave, contain them with a smaller amount of units. Like, see that? 2 siege tanks and some mines, and then go attack somewhere else. Because then there's a lot of pressure on Protoss to get these units out of here, and a lot of times it gets sloppy with them. EMP. So he decides to come down, runs into a bunch of mines. Just a handful of units left to deal with. Okay, here I think I screwed up my hotkeys a little bit. Oh yeah, I sent the 2 tanks down because I have a good amount of mines here, and I figured I could do a lot of damage to that. And it would be annoying. Certainly I was right about that. So yeah, that's pretty much what that game was. Kind of a straightforward macro game. You can see all the army trading and stuff hasn't been favorable for him. Alright. So that was round 3. Yeah, it really is all about building that tank count. If you're trading, you need to be killing tanks the whole time. Okay, next round I got Hawk, which for me personally going into the tournament, I thought would be the scariest opponent. Hawk generally, now I basically never get to play him. I play some of the other guys more often. I don't hit them a lot, but I hit them some on ladder. I have no idea even what Hawk's IDs are. But I got to hang out with Hawk a lot last year in Russia. And I think he's very, very smart. And I think he's very good and really stays on top of the metagame. So yeah, I was like going against Hawk. I'm like, well, this is probably going to be a hard opponent for me, even though he's a Zerg player. This game, I screw up very badly. This was maybe it's the most frustrating game for me. Maybe. I die in a way that I've died so many times in my life in this matchup. Okay, it's all pretty standard in the early game. Oh yeah, my SCV, by the way, I was doing some fancy micro to check these locations because it's so trendy to take a fast third right now. That it's just something I'm looking for. And the thing is, like I said, Hawk stays so on top of the current meta that actually, by the way, I thought for sure on one of the maps he would go for the quick ultralist play, which he actually does do in map 2, and we'll look at that afterwards. Because a lot of people just kind of, especially for foreigners, just kind of play their style, and it takes a long time for the top Korean meta to infiltrate into their play, whereas it feels like with Hawk, as soon as something comes out, he knows everything about it and how to do it. In this particular game, you can see this is something that Zero and Soma have been doing, where they take the double expand one at a gas. I don't even know how to play against this yet, but it shows that my analysis of him being very much on top of the meta is correct, I would say. Okay, so I'm kind of out with my forward group, right? He hit kind of hard with the mutas. And by the way, this game in particular, I think I get supply blocked a decent amount, which is kind of painful. Okay, so my +1 is just about to finish. And I see what he's doing here with the double hatchery. He doesn't have any drones at him. So that's a bit of an issue. Okay, let's slow this down. So he comes in just in time and saves it. So I lose all those. That's kind of painful. I didn't really get anything done. When you look at this compared to the game against Striker I killed like 4 mutas and 2 drones. When I made the similar move here, there were no drones here, so I didn't get any drones. And he hit with Ling Muta at like exactly the same time, so I didn't do as much to his mutas either. It's really hard if they hit with Ling Muta at the same time. If you're playing against just Muta, you can like target them down. Or if the Lings come in too quickly, you just... Marines will kill Lings very quickly. But if you're trying to target mutas while Lings are attacking you, all your shit dies like immediately. Lings attack pretty quickly. So here I'm just trying to get up into a lot of barracks because I know that his muta Ling production is going to be very high. Also, because I lost that group, don't forget, I'm kind of staying at home with my bio, adding a couple turrets here and there. I make a big mistake, though. Playing this a little bit too greedy or something. I have no turrets up here. And the amount he abuses me for this game is really, like, embarrassing. So here he comes. Okay, I push it out. Not a big deal. Lost what? 2 SCVs, 3 SCVs? Comes in here. He's looking for a vessel. Just misses it. Goes up, gets the SCVs again. Good mutaless movement. He's lost a couple mutas, but you know what? I think it's fine because he's making lurkers right now. Just keeping me busy, keeping me inside my base, because what you want to do is be out before the lurkers if possible. If you can't, then, well, you can use, like, tank, vessel, whatever. So here he is once again. As soon as my bio was moving out, his mutas moved in again. No turrets. Huge mistake by me. Like, if you count the number of SCVs he's killing, it just would have been better to have, like, 4 turrets here. What did 4 turrets cost? It cost the same as 6 SCVs. Have these killed at least 6 SCVs and slowed me down on what I wanted to do? Hell yes. They've done way more than that. So there is no way to look at this except as a big mistake by me. Yeah, look at that. That's my vessel too. Bam. And then he has a lot of lurkers out here. So this is something that I've been running into a little bit more. Is people who are making a lot of lurkers and being in the middle of the map. Because the more normal way to play TVZ, or ZVT rather, would be to use lurkers in very defensive locations. You know, places like with sunkens at your choke, or on top of a ramp going to a third base, something like that, right? What we're seeing this kind of emergence of, like, you start with the mutalist harassment, and that forces you to be kind of anti-muta, and then suddenly there's 10 lurkers. And they're out on the map, right? So you have to be very careful against that. Obviously, you can out-micro that. That is a possibility a lot of time, unless they really overwhelm you. I was pretty unhappy with my tank usage on circuit breakers against Striker. And so this game, I was like, let me just get into vessels against Hawk. So I actually skipped going siege tanks. But I was already kind of wrecked this game from all the harassment. Look at that, 28 SCVs at this point at like 12 minutes. My god, I'm so dead. The only thing I have going for me this game is good upgrades. Like, I was pretty on top of getting my upgrades started. Look at that, I have 2-1 already, so that's pretty good. See, he goes in again. Still nothing there. So painful. So here I'm just looking to use my Marines with upgrades. Alright, here, we'll slow this down. But this is... The thing is, again, it's a huge amount of lurkers. Look how many lurkers he's got. He's got 10 burrowed there. He's got 5 there. He's got 15 lurkers. It doesn't matter how good your upgrades are or how many Marines you have. 15 lurkers? My god. So right here, I was specifically targeting certain lurkers to try to reduce the amount of splash my Marines were taking. Here, let me show you which ones I targeted. Right, so I saw this spread, and I'm like, okay, I'm way behind here, but maybe I can bust all these lurkers. So the ones that I irradiated, this one, this one, this one. Why did I irradiate those ones? Well, when my Marines start attacking, they'll hit these first ones, and the other ones won't hit them because the middle ones are gone. Then the middle ones will be gone. With the middle ones gone, I can hit the back ones because now all the front ones are gone. So that was the thought process. It was, you know, I think that's a good way to look at trying to bust a tough situation like this. Okay, here we go. And I'm like, all right, I can actually break this. Oh, Dark Swarm, just in time. Fuck me, I'm dead. Yeah. There's really nothing else to this game. He just keeps Dark Swarming, throwing plagues down. I try to radiate. Eventually, he just has too much. Very good play. Look how many drones he has. It's crazy. He's way too big. All right, so he wins game 1. Having a bit of a hard time with my TVZ, unfortunately. Yeah, Hawk is quite a good player. Quite respect him. He's got a big, sexy brain. Okay, I choose Neo Sylphid. I actually expected him to do the Ultralisk build here. Because, again, he's on top of the metagame. He'll be doing very current things. I have talked a lot on stream about the Ultralisk build. A lot. Because after Light versus Soman Zero, it was kind of like the thing to do for at least a week, and I lost so much MMR playing against it. And I was having a really hard time, and I've had lots of talks on the stream about the build and what I think about it and what's hard about it and brainstorming and stuff. So I talked to Scan endlessly about this build and the theory behind how to play against it. So I have way better theory on how to play against it. Here's the funny thing. Since I talked to Scan about it and got way better ideas and really thought I have it like pages of notes of ideas on how to play against it, things to do, I literally have not hit the build even one more time. So there was a week where I hit it like 20 times, and then it's just been gone. The thing is, I think it's still really good, and I don't think it's figured out how to beat it. And I'm fucking shocked that I just haven't hit it on ladder, but I just haven't. So I don't have that much practice against it. Unfortunately, with the new style, the new way that I'm trying to play against it. Okay. So, Neo Sylphid, again, it's a bit of a smaller map, which is why I chose it. I don't like these people getting so many expansions up on me. I figure out that that's where it is. Here's my forward group. Let's slow this down a little bit. I've done a good job of clearing lings and kind of, I don't want to say randomizing my Marine movement, but there's a way that you move out, right? You move out and you're like, okay, kill these couple lings here, move back and forth a little bit. Where is he at? Where is he at? Right? So you're kind of doing that with your Bioforce. You don't want the Zerg to know where it is. It makes them, if they know where it is, they can decide to harass you or to harass the Bioforce. All right, so I get a nice lucky encounter here. What's up? 2 mutas for free. And I'm like, all right, this is a good start, isn't it? All right, so he's trying to make some defense here. He knows and I know that this is not going to end well for him. So killing the 2 mutas allows me to just very easily get rid of this base. See, he's quite smart in just leaving it. Because maybe, like, he can try to micro against this, but is he going to get anything done? No. So this is a great moment for me. Now, you'll see up here, I'll start building turrets massively. Because as soon as I realize the mutas are not going to fight, I'm like, all right, get them turrets going. Because all he can do now is counterattack. So it's definitely a bit annoying. Does a pretty good job with it. Making a lot of mutas here. Eventually I hold on. I don't have many SCVs. I lost a lot there. I also get supply blocked in this game in the early game quite a few times. So I bring my Bioforce back. Really, he does a great job here. Eliminates my medics. Because the thing is, he has enough here that he can fight against my bio, right? So he eliminates my medics and then eliminates my marines. So that was good. He's retaking his third. Right at this moment, I'm scanning and I'm checking his 2 bases. Because I want to see if he's mute all in. And it looks like mute all in from here, so I go Valkyrie. Because I think that's the best thing to do in this type of situation. And then I just gotta kind of protect my base while I hit critical mass. Because against, if someone's going mass mutas, you want to sit at home. If they're trying to do other things like go to Hive, or tech into other units, expand too much, things like this, then you go out. But if they're just making mutas, the problem is that they can harass your base and then fly back and defend in time to stop your attack. So it's all about kind of protecting everything as much as possible. This is the hardest base to protect against mutalist harassment. It's very difficult to defend this end, this end, this end. Sometimes they fly back here. But I do alright here. I already have an advantage because I killed that third base. So I'm making lots of turrets. So again, I just need Valkyries out. Okay, I have a Valk. And here we go. He's doing a very good job here trying to pick this off. I messed up there a little bit. But his mutas have taken a lot of damage. Another Valkyrie pops out. Alright, there we go. I have a big Bioforce. I have the Valks. I'm scanning what's going on. You gotta be careful about this. 2 sunks. It's kind of hard to break. So I think I decided to get some more reinforcements. It's an easy way to lose games that you have won as Terran is to attack into Sunkens. So I have 3 Valkyries right now. Just trying to catch them. Just denying 4th base. That's like the most important thing in the matchup. A little bit of a... It looks like that I was attack moving everything down, and I think one of the Valks was just close enough that it turned to attack 2 Scourge that were on the edge, so I lost 1. It's not a big deal, though. Okay, so I know now that he's doing the Ultralisk style. So I start to implement all the things that Scan and I have talked about, right? I'm just making a gigantic force. A gigantic army. Trying to hit the critical mass. So what this ends up being is 5 full groups of Marines. So that's 60 Marines, 12 medics, and then whatever vessels you have. That's the composition. And what you do is you stay ahead of upgrades and you keep a death ball because it will beat the ultras. Okay, so here I really fucked up. I just flew in and lost 2 vessels. I was planning on just irradiating ultras, letting irradiate sit, and then busting. I only got 1 irradiate off. I lost 2 vessels. I'm like, damn it. This was a terrible move. So like, all right, let's check down here. All right, the ultras are out. He tries to fight. And you can see that the +2 Marines in this critical mass are doing a good job against him. He actually has to turn around and run. Now, that being said, attacking up into this, I don't think is the right move here. I have a lot more than him. My upgrades are better. But attacking uphill into Sunkens, like, you're missing 50% of your shots. Right? It's very tough. Yeah, it's just, it's so tough, guys. And then, I mean, you have so many sunks at the natural, too. It's just... You know, I hadn't realized that he killed those 2. That's funny. If I had realized that he had killed these 2, I think I would have gone to bust here. But I was like, 8 sunks, man. 8 sunks with ultras attacking you. Don't want to do that. I've lost a lot of games trying to bust that. Alright, so I'm still massing. Getting another base. So at this point, I have so much Marine Medic. Oh my god. Back that up a little bit. This is so painful. Here, what I want to do, like, the thing is, it's so hard to finish. It's so hard to finish, right? He's got a very scary army. Here, I do have +3 attack, so I'm still good. Still very good to fight against ultras. Some of my units have been whittled down, so I have to add more into the groups. See, he's just sitting here, 3 gas, trying to make enough ultras to kill me. All right, let's... Not quite enough to break all these ultras, but I'm killing a lot of them. If I had my entire army here, I probably could have killed them, but you literally don't have enough hotkeys. It's kind of like the problem that Zerg has when they're, you know, when they have like max out supply with like Ling, whatever. When you're making only Marine Medic, like there's not enough hotkeys to have everything together. Maybe I should pick scanners off or something, I don't know, but you can't attack move through to 0. Maybe if you have hands as big as LeBron James or something. I can barely 7A. So I've done a good job of denying bases still. Still on 3 gas. He's just now getting this one up. It's actually kind of funny. I think I didn't scout that. I scouted this one and went and killed it. Huh. But yeah, now he's on to Defiler. I lose 2 more vessels there. God damn it. So yeah, things are starting to fall apart a little bit. Once the Defilers are out, it becomes a lot harder. Yeah, unfortunately my economy is just no longer together. It's very hard against Ling Ultra to keep fringe expansions up because they just die so quickly. So that's basically it. Kind of disappointed in myself for losing that one. I wasn't sure how to finish him, how to actually kill at the end. I think I got myself into a very good position in this game 2 to 3 times, and then just, yeah. I've lost so many games attacking into Sunkens against Ultra that I didn't want to do that. Right. So 2 losses against Zerg. Ouch. Alright, round 5 we'll go through really quick. This guy, I guess his ID is Mighty Beast. Didn't really know him. A lower ranked player that qualified. We'll just zip right through this one. So I knew he was lower ranked, so I did things like scout the center. Figured it might be something like proxy gates. Who knows? Then I actually get an SCV and see that it's 2 gateway. But I did see a probe leaving this way. So since it was 2 gate, I went siege to make sure I couldn't die. I went turret to make sure in case it was DT I'd be fine. But I did see the probe exiting towards the 3rd base. So I thought, okay, maybe this is one of those builds where you go 2 gate and then you're so greedy. So I just decided to go drop. Because your observer is going to be really late with a build like this. And that turns out to be the right choice. Vultures kill like everything. And I was doing some more drops, so you can see he's having a hard time even keeping 20 probes alive. Attacks in, that's it. The second game, he chose Terran instead. And I decided to, because it was Terran, I'm confident in my Terran versus Terran. I decided to go to Factory Opener, like the one without add-ons, because I can switch that into a macro build very easily, and I can hold everything very easily with that. So this is me over here. Scout real quick to the center. Go to his base. See his factories a little bit later than mine. Get my second fact going. This is pretty quick. So he went second add-on, second fact before add-on, and he delayed the add-on quite a bit. So he just doesn't have enough units to stop this. So I kill the vultures. You're just not able to do anything here. So that was very quick. Okay, and then this turned out to be the last round. It was supposed to be a 7-round tournament, and they didn't need a 7th, so last one was against this guy named Talent. I played him once on ladder before. He walked through spider mines with DTs and killed me, so that was fun. I called him perhaps the worst player ever to have existed, apparently. I turned on my stream and saw that. I apologize. Standard Artosis. Alright, so I didn't really know what to expect from him, to be honest. I decided to just play like I did against Dragon, basically. That was the idea. Figured he was an Arbiter guy. They normally are. I'm playing a pretty safe game here. He's playing pretty laid back. I got mines out. Yeah, you can see. He sent his goon back a little bit too late, so he loses that one. I'm stalling out his third base. Doing all the things I want to do, basically. And we can see he's teching rather quickly. He's on 2-gate observer right now, going into Citadel. I've scanned and decided that I'm not in any sort of danger, so start my third command. We got about 42 SCVs at 8 minutes, so not too bad at all. Happy with that. Just a few SCVs off of really, really good. Okay, so, I mean, I've got my mines around pretty well, right? I know what he doesn't have, and I'm using my scans to figure out what he does have. Pretty happy with this overall style that I played during this tournament for Circuit Breakers. Feels very safe and very strong. Throwing down the 4th on location once again. I was checking his gateway count and trying to be careful about that. I had fresh memories of being busted by that guy named Just before, trying to get my factories up. But you can see my map vision is really strong this game. Yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary here, right? Just kind of lightly harassing with vultures, making sure that I'm arbiter-proof. Lots of mines, lots of turrets. Lots of turrets over here. Getting my factory count up. Trying to run vultures around to do something. He was pretty good at catching them. He's kind of a Dragoon man, huh? Look at this. 12. Look at how many Dragoons. It's actually crazy. So look, normal PvT, like I don't think you're really going to get over like 16 Dragoons most of the time. A lot of people I play against, though, make a lot of Dragoons, which actually, it's kind of tricky to play against this many Dragoons. The way the army fights is really different. It's very strong against the Vultures, but if you have tanks left over, it gets completely smashed. So kind of funny to see, right? He's got 16 goons over here. So that's like 28 goons. He's got like over 30 goons. That is a lot. So it kind of like the army in some ways feels much more powerful to play against. I think you got it. But the Zealot count is very, very low, right? Okay, so here once again I've overproduced SCVs maybe a little bit. 78 on the high side. I think 70 is about right for the 4 bases. Maybe 60 to 65 for 3 bases. Right around there maybe. 78 a lot though. Okay, let's check this out. I'm getting ready for my move out. He's set up. Obviously these are different groups. He's about to attack move. I'm trying to be very careful with my setup here, laying the defensive mines, my vessel out front. Let's see how this battle goes. That was a good stasis. I think that was, yeah, I think that was actually quite a good stasis. Huh. A lot of times I would call that a bad stasis, but it actually kind of makes these vultures a bit free. So I actually was not expecting for my initial push out to be broken. This is one of the hardest things that I find about TVP right now. Even though my macros improved a lot, my first push coming out has been very difficult. And he's still got so many Dragoons left over. Like, if it's only Zealots left over, you don't care. You can kill that with anything. The Zealots basically have to run. He runs here, obviously, as he's running into mines and whatnot, and 2 well-placed tanks. But I was surprised to get broken there. Or mostly broken. Okay, so my thought process here is his bases aren't super quick, and I want to take this base. So I'm going to come out, and I'm going to hold this area. That is my entire goal. Got my good upgrades coming. Again, very Dragoon heavy. It's a weird style. Ah, yes. Okay, so at this moment, I felt like I was actually getting quite an advantage in this game. I have so much macro going. I have 3-2 about to finish. So my thought process was, let me cut off reinforcements to the center. And eventually I wanted to move up here so I could kill this base and this base for free. And then if you have units here and units here, not only does that defend this base, but it kind of stops other circulation. So that was my thought process as I was moving down here. Good stasises. So Dragoon heavy. At this point, I was like, am I going to lose this? My economy is so good. My upgrades are so good. My production's really going. You can see some of the problems during these engagements, if you're looking closely, on why having it be this Dragoon heavy might not be the best way to play it. The Zealots are going to do a lot more tanking than Dragoons for most situations, and they're going to clear mines better. You see a lot of the Dragoons are ending up running into mines. So that's something that you're missing out on. But it gives you more power in a situation like this, right? When I'm low on the siege tanks, you're going to be able to clear it better because my vultures don't do much. Okay, so here, I think this game, well, really all my games again, you know, I had TP1 to thank for helping me prepare for this and improve my TVP a lot. a particular tactic that we talked about like a day before I end up using in this game. Because this is such... There's so much fighting in this area. Something I talked about with TT1 that he suggested is to eventually break down these depots and just mine from here. As like a free base, which is actually something I'm going to do here in a moment, which becomes very strong. Because there's just so much action here, right? This is like the whole game, is this tug of war in this area. He's trying to bust me and I'm trying to get down here. So in a second here, yeah, kill that off. So yeah, starting to feel pretty good at that point. Got a lot of tanks, got 3/3 upgrades. Oh yeah, I tried this. I don't think I'll do this again, but this came to me. Hold on. Okay. Just a little bit more. 25, 43 should be good. Okay, so I knew he had taken the bottom left kind of late. And I was like, we have so much going on in the center of the map. We are fighting here all the time. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw in 2 dropships and see if I can screw up a base over here. But he did have gateways here and units fresh out of them, so this doesn't end up doing very much, but there was an idea. Right? It was an idea. It just didn't. It was something I thought of, but it didn't work out very well. Not great usage of starports, of my starport build time. Vessels would have been more helpful, I think. If the game was more hectic, I think that this could have been a very good move, because then I could have run vultures down here as well. But because it was only dropships, because the game was not hectic, the game was very focused. I think it wasn't as good because of that. So the game's wrapping up at this point. My force is getting it to be a bit too strong. You can see I just have like 30 siege tanks. I have 3/3. You're not going to be able to break this all day. Kind of forcing the issue. These trades are getting worse. Yeah, so now you can see I've kind of set up this area. This base is already mined out, so it's not as valuable to do. And you can see here's mined out as well. My initial plan, it's not as valuable now, but I leave a few units here just to stifle the movement of those units for a moment so that I can actually fight the main army. So I get over, fight the main army. Reinforcements can't really make it up. You can see they're starting to run out, but they get cleaned up, and that's it. Gee. Okay, last replay. I decided here to just do he wanted fighting spirit, so I decided to just do the same build I did against dragon, and I messed it up a little bit. I have limited practice with this build, so yeah, I screwed up. I'll show you how in just a second. All right, okay, so I just checked. For a Nexus at about 330, a lot of times the Nexus is already made there. No Nexus. Run SCV away. And by the way, he was frustrated with that first loss, so I was like, he might cheese, who knows. Alright, so I bring the SCV back around. And I see, okay, you've got this. You got this. That was actually a very good scout. You know what? Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I screwed this up. I actually gained enough info there that I did not need the eBay. But the latest a Nexus can come down and have it not be some sort of cheese, would be 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So he was making this right on the edge of that. But then I did get the SCV in. I saw 3 pylons. I saw Cybernetics Core spinning. I saw 3 goons. That's exactly what you will have. Exactly what you will have with the 420 Nexus. So I made a huge mistake here. I got Siege Mode and the Engineering Bay. What this does is it slows my second fact dramatically. You do this against cheese, you can get the eBay up, and you can get Siege Mode. If it's like DT, or it's like a bunch of goons, or something like that, you know. But here, this just fucks me up. And I actually lose the game because I altered my build in this way. Because you'll see. Okay, so like I mentioned before, you're normally moving out with like 11-ish tanks. Against Dragon, I moved out with 10. With the 5 factory build. And in my practice, I can move out with as many as 12 at the same time. This is all before 9 minutes. Okay, so let's just jump up to my move out, because the game is very uneventful. Okay, so my move out's before 9 minutes. Let's go to 8:30. So here's my move out, right? We're about 8:30, about the same move out time. I'm on 8 tanks, right? I'm on 8 tanks. So this cost me 2 less tanks than I had against Dragon to go for Siege Mode and the Engineering Bay quickly, and 4 less tanks than I could have had with the build being hit perfectly. So basically, you're using so much of your money. Siege Mode costs more gas than a factory, right? It costs as much gas as a factory and an add-on. And the thing is, when you have a bunker and they're on one gate, like, you don't even need Siege Mode. They can't break it. As long as you repair it, they can't break you. So I'm actually moving out with 8 tanks. So I'm, like, let's call it I'm 3 tanks down. And this actually ends up costing me this game. Here we go. Getting into position, starting my push. So here I'm actually like, you know what? These goons are in a terrible spot. I'm going to abuse this. I'm like building a bunker here. This is going to screw up their attack moving AI. I have multiple turrets and a bunch of mines. Okay, and also he's doing a good job though with this spread. You have to be very careful coming over the bridge, because if you put too many tanks on the bridge, the Dragoons can run up close and then just target them down. You see these goons are not doing so well. Now, this battle, with 2 more siege tanks even, all these goons would be dead by now. And if they weren't all dead, they would have pulled back more quickly. And I would have way more units. So, basically, I can't quite kill him because I moved out with only 8 tanks. 8 tanks is super duper low. See, every single trade looks better for him than it would have if I had more tanks in here. And here I'm like, okay, I gotta get him, because I'm so low on tanks at this point. I'm just unable to. Just don't have the firepower. And he just breaks out. So I try to go over here and kill this in the meantime. He has Arbiter Tech out now, though, so this is not really working. And this is me trying to rub 2 nickels together to make a quarter, basically. I'm running around. I'm just trying to... Basically, my idea here is punish his economy and try to get him to run into mines to save it. And I needed both those things to happen to be able to get a victory in this situation. Of course, unable to do that. All right. So that there was the run of that qualifier. Unfortunately, again, I did not make it. That's okay, though. Congratulations to Models and Tai 2 for making it through. I'm sure they played quite well. Didn't get to see that though. Let's talk about the format that was used this year. It was Swiss with best of 2. Now, I personally don't like this format. It was the format, so I'm not like complaining here, but I don't think this is a good format for StarCraft or StarCraft Brood War play. And some people say, oh, you know, I'm like bored of like, you know, bored of best of 3 or, you know, groups or whatever. But yeah, let's take a look at the actual bracket, the actual thing itself. All right. So here's how it goes, and yeah, it's just there's Swiss is something that's used generally in things like chess tournaments and things like Magic the Gathering. I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering tournaments, and they were Swiss. It felt good in Magic the Gathering tournaments. It's like, you know, you can't play the whole field, and a bracket doesn't make sense because there's so many bad matchups for decks and stuff. I don't know about chess tournament play that much. I don't really play chess tournaments, so I'm not so sure about that, or if that's like a great format for that. I think that's generally what they use, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But with Magic, it felt like, oh, this is a good way to get a sampling of your deck against the field, and then you cut to top X, and then you play out a bracket to see who wins that tournament. That seems like, okay, that's a good way to do it. I think StarCraft is it's such a completely skill-based game. I don't really like the Swiss so much with it. Getting a sampling. I don't feel like I lost my first round, and then that put me into a situation where my tiebreakers got really bad. Like you see, I'm tied a 3-way tie here for that with the 2-2-2 record, and I have by far the worst tie breaks. So like, even if that was the best record, I don't make it, right? So I don't like the idea of a tie break like that. Some weird statistical thing like, oh, the people you beat today didn't do a good job, so there you go. Like, I also don't like the fact that I was up playing for 8 hours or whatever it was. I guess I was awake for 8 hours. I don't think the actual 6 rounds took 8 hours. But, you know, I was up all night playing for a very long time. I never got to play TY2 or models in the tournament. So I feel like I had no actual direct impact on this tournament. All of my impact was completely indirect. It didn't feel like any StarCraft tournament that I've played before. So I'm not, and I'm not a fan of it because of that. Because I'm like, okay, they won. I didn't get to play them. That feels really weird that I played literally everyone else in the tournament. Oh, I guess I didn't play Jaeyun either. But I literally didn't even get to play the 2 players that finished up on top. So yeah, I really did not like that aspect of it. The thing is, if it's a bracket, that's fine. You're actually directly impacting the tournament by who you win and lose to, because it goes right through. Here, it's just this weird point-based thing. Also, it's my opinion that in this type of format, this is very bad for Terran. I think that Terran needs a best of 3 to operate correctly. It's so easy to drop a single map. You know, like if you just play really strongly, if you're way better than your opponent, you're a Protoss player, and you just play very strongly, you're not going to really drop a map. Terrans drop maps, I think, with much more regularity to just build orders and things like that. So I don't feel like this is a very good format to get Terrans through. As the only data point so far, Poland also only had 1 Terran player playing, Koget, who was one of the best foreign Terrans, and he got like last place in that. So yeah, it's I don't know. I personally don't like it. I think that they should change the format to something that's best of 3. And honestly, if it was round robin, if we're gonna be on that long, let's do round robin. Why are we doing Swiss? I don't know. I personally don't like it. I know some players do like it. But I felt like my time was so unimpactful in this tournament, and I feel really weird not having played the 2 players who qualified. I feel like I wasn't really able to show much of anything after losing my first round to Striker, as I kind of battled from that, right? Because the people who win their first round play each other, and the people who lose play each other. And then, like, if they just keep winning, the people who won their first round match, it doesn't matter if I keep winning too. You might not hit them through the tournament. So, yeah, that's my thoughts overall on the tournament. I hope that you guys enjoyed my analysis of my games. Again, well played to everyone. It was fun to play, and thanks to Russ Brain for putting on RCG. Is a great tournament, and I'll definitely play again next year. And congrats to Models and TY too, and I hope you guys wreck it if the tournament gets to go on.